Alright, so this one's going to be a little, let's say, different, because I've done this movie. It was actually the second video I ever published on November 20th, 2015, and back then I had no clue what I was doing on all the levels. So it was copyright claimed, and it's just unbearable. So this video will be an Everything Great About video as normal, but I'm also going to be peppering in wins from my original script and trying to ascertain why I thought they were wins in 2015. For instance, these opening frames contain no director credit, so obviously I made the joke it must be directed by Roland Emmerich or Michael Bay. Not so much a win. But this ethereal, operatic, tension-building, danger over the horizon score, yes please. And these are San Andreas style opening credits. Not too on the nose with like earthquake shaken logos, but more thematic with the necklace and the water. Here was a Taylor Swift win. Let's say smooth score to Taylor Swift transition. This is gonna be fun. Not paying attention, she's gonna crash fake out. And again, but texting and driving is a no-no, so canceled win there. But what's really fun about this whole scene is something this movie does so well, the misdirect. She's a young, new driver listening to music too loudly, driving down a windy road with a cliff on one side, and she's constantly taking her eyes off the road. But the accident wasn't even remotely her fault. Fault line. Where are my geology majors at? But hey, at least she had her seatbelt on and her airbags were functional.
So, what's the biggest difference between rescuing over there and what you do here?
Not getting shot at.
Arsenal joke or Canema joke? Let's take a vote. More Teen Wolf fans or Arrow fans? Here's both. Well, when you're a green, shape-shifting, super strong, arrow-shooting lizard, you deserve to be shot at.
Just doing my job, ma'am. Go where they tell me to go.
The Rock. Beautiful beard win. Technically the one that kicked it all off. For the record, I originally called it a brilliant beard win. Totally forgot about that. Beautiful is better.
We're gonna tip the hat.
Successfully tipping the hat. Who needs the jaws of life when you've got the rock of life? And no explosion. Cliche dodge. Sony? Acer? Get out of here. This is an Apple classroom. Jokes aside, it shows that this is probably just a real classroom and not product placement. No way Apple lets a Vio in their paid spot.
San Andreas Fault runs right up the spine of California.
Geography lessons. Yes, I know. He's teaching geology, as one of my Sharp as a Tack commenters pointed out in 2015. The point is that the win was for teaching a student currently sitting a stone's throw from the fault where its physical location is. I was really into sarcastic wins when I started out. So at this point, we've seen that necklace she's wearing floating through the water, and my initial thought was that it was foreshadowing her impending danger. Turns out they tricked me good. And I mean, 6 minutes in and the action starts. Goodbye Hoover Dam, hello Megatron. Wait, right? So Kim did steal that move from that one guy in Volcano, but it's still self-sacrifice.
I'm so sorry. We're heading out tomorrow.
Oh, I get it. This one's really bad, Dad.
A teenage daughter who's understanding of her father's profession and responsibilities. Another cliche dodge.
You guys moving in?
Yeah, I was meaning to tell you, but we haven't had a chance to.
Congratulations.
Sincere graciousness like only The Rock can pull off. Alexandra Daddario is 29 in this movie, but she pulls off the doe-eyed teen heading off to college totally convincingly.
But I'm never gonna try to change what you have with him, or take his place.
Yeah, that would take some flexibility you really don't have. You'd have to stretch pretty far to fill The Rock's shoes.
Hi.
Hello.
Flirting? Referencing a much better movie.
You know, you're quite beautiful.
Compliments.
It's not normal to bring little brothers to job interviews.
It's not normal to bring them to war either, and we all know how that turned out. Rooftop pools are always a win.
I wanted to tell you I was sorry for how I acted yesterday.
More graciousness from Ray with a sincere apology for showing the mildest of annoyance when he finds out his wife is filing for divorce and she and his daughter are moving in with Reed Rich Architect. That works on so many levels. Anyway, here's the outburst.
Don't worry about it.
Hey, if you want
I'll get those papers signed for you too.
That's an apology win.
No! Under the table! Drop cover and hold on!
Ha! Dispelling earthquake myths one at a time. So Ollie's like the best wingman around. It's not like he's a preteen and has no interest in girls. And while obviously she's going to be interested in the suited older brother, at his age he'd have a pretty hard crush on Blake after she spent time listening to him. And he put all that aside to get her number for his brother. Brutal.
Mr. Riddick! Mr. Riddick?
So he just sentenced himself to a horrific end. And I'm going to do again what I did in the original video, which is put a win on layaway for that to come. Morbid? Yes. Do we only see him a few more times in the whole movie? Yes. Is this, however, where my secondary win counters began? Also yes. Is that Godzilla I hear?
Can I tell you about our specials?
Please, I'd love to hear.
Actually, could you come back in a few minutes, Lois?
I'm sorry, what were you saying, Kylie Minogue? Right. I don't mean to be insensitive, but that's what you get when you're rude to people in the service industry. Doesn't matter how famous you are down under. See what I mean about rooftop pools? Just so much fun. It's like a rooftop wave pool now. This long take is absolutely amazing and completely took me by surprise being in what's supposed to be a generic disaster movie. It's almost exactly 3 minutes and perfectly carries you along with Emma as she struggles to escape while bringing you right into the devastation and death of an earthquake like this. Its uninterrupted glory is what elevates this movie over its comparables/contemporaries. Just great. You know I love Man of Steel, but goodness, that's some destruction with scale and weight to it. Still unclear where Godzilla is hiding and why he's there at all. Near fatalities are good for your love life. That was going to be a recurring win, but it didn't come up nearly as much as I thought it would. Things being good for your love life. Besides, it's actually better for preventing your divorce. You wouldn't really expect a helicopter to be able to take part in some high-flying, fast, close-call action, but they pull it off. Not a generally claustrophobic person, and I know a top-billed character isn't likely to die yet, but they've got me clenching. And it helps that most of the rocks and dust and debris on the car is done in camera with practical effects rather than CGI. Ben is the MacGyver of rescue quick thinking. Saving that girl you just met.
To save lives by hacking media outlets.
Hell yeah, man, I'm in.
Sweet, bro. Get your laptop. Let's go.
Paul Giamatti doesn't even care.
Is Daniel okay?
He left me, Mom.
He what?
Another expectation subversion. Most movies would have a character lie in this situation for manufactured tension and a greater reveal later.
You left my daughter? If you're not already dead, I'm gonna f***ing kill you.
From a viewer's perspective, we've established an off-screen death wouldn't be nearly satisfying enough, so we know he's still alive. But from a the end of the world as we know it perspective, the odds that he actually is dead are pretty high. So that's ice cold. Either way, appropriate response and a worthy use of the one PG-13 allotted F word. Ha! And speak of the devil. What are you thinking? Is karma a foreign concept to you? How about basic human decency? Throw another win on layaway. You are earning your demise. You just killed that guy.
I'm gonna have to auto-rotate down.
Auto what?
We're gonna crash.
Believe it or not, everything he does in this controlled crash landing is apparently realistic. Crashing with style. The Rock's workout routine. And once again subverting expectations. Locked car doors. It's almost as if Brad Payton had a cliche checklist and tried to do the opposite of as many as he could.
I've been needing that truck.
Not today.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to The Rock. That makes me feel very uncomfortable and makes my skin crawl. I don't like being reminded how small we are. Jump shadowing.
I miss her so much.
And now that you've been introduced to The Rock, go ahead and take a gander at his range. Don't tell me you ever expected this level of genuine emotion and vulnerability from a professional wrestler.
One of them used to be my sister's. I started wearing it after she died.
And there's the trick. It was her sister's necklace.
I'm so sorry,
No, it's
I
okay.
didn't mean...
I'm not hiding them.
What an interesting line and life choice. Obviously, it's not something she ever really wants to talk about, but she also doesn't ever want to forget her sister. So she wears her necklace in the open to prompt people to ask.
Every city has a tactical channel that first responders use to communicate on. We can listen in and we can see what's going on.
This is why you need The Rock as a dad, so you can pass survival lessons on to your new British friends.
Ready?
Twist down, ready?
The Rock makes this movie. I mean, I could be totally off, but this entire scene feels extremely real. I know that's them jumping out and then this is them landing. The middle is likely someone else.
It's been a while since I got you to second base.
I'm not going to win baseball puns.
I want to go home.
Hugging. Again, destruction carnage at its finest. Giving Bay and Emmerich a run for their money. My first thought was, why would these people listen to some random dude, not in uniform, telling them what to do, and then I remembered it's The Rock, and it all makes sense. See what I mean?
Just get up against something sturdy. Protect yourself. Triangle of life.
Life lessons wrapped in a metaphor for earthquakes. What's that? Triangle of life is actual earthquake advice? They don't actually recommend that. Got it. I would definitely die in an earthquake.
But how do we get through that?
Well, we've done land and air. Man, that's awful. He had a piece of glass stuck in his inner thigh and then another one on the top. Rough day.
9/6. Largest quake in recorded history.
So, yay for science, but boo for everyone dying. I'm no boating expert, and I guess it's probably common knowledge to anyone who owns a boat in San Francisco Bay, but I generally expect to see the majority of the boats driving away from the wave while our heroes bucked the norm and made the right call to try and beat the crest. As if these people don't even know about the Prometheus school of running away from things. Also, that's awesome. You know what I'm wondering about? I wonder what Daniel's up to. Goodbye. I was just thinking about how lucky the Golden Gate Bridge was after the Bay Bridge was destroyed. Spoke too soon.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you guys should have raced to Witch Mountain faster. I like how as we move up the building, the amount of construction completed makes sense. Even having the tiles that were installed on the previous floor still in boxes on the next floor up. Love?
Mum's going to love her.
Again, best brother ever.
I'll look for some water.
Loving the fires on the buildings in the background being reflected in the glass of the building Blake's in.
I'm bringing her back.
More love. They really embraced the disaster part of this disaster movie. That's brutal. Let's go, Dwayne. Exit that debris. Carla Gugino to the rescue. First, let's talk about how inspired the choice was to drop the sound effects and just have the score come crashing in. But was I the only one who expected the Last of the Mohegans theme to pick up right there? Current CPR recommendation doesn't require rescue breathing except for drowning victims. So, following guidelines. Blake's alive. Family hugs all around. Hey, well, at least these two found each other.
It's more like she was there for us.
It's getting more and more common, 3 years later even more, but it's always nice to see the damsel in distress cliche flipped on its head. America. But also Canada. And some Richter scale credits for you. So, you're all welcome. I went back to this movie for you because so many of you missed my second video ever created with a narrator whose mic presence could only be characterized as monotonous and uncomfortable. One commenter recently made the statement that back then I was talking to a general audience rather than my audience. I like that. It's true. Knowing you faithfuls are out there listening to me makes this whole thing easier. But enough trips down memory lane. San Andreas, an okay disaster movie that I give way more credit because Brad Payton tried to break the mold. He attempted to do something different while still giving us that sweet, sweet destruction mayhem. Did he still fall into some of the well-worn tropes that tend to slog this genre down? Sure, but that's more than you can say for some of those other directors. And I like plenty of those other directors' movies, but some have become lazy and have started to stick to formulas they know will earn them money. What a ridiculous notion that filmmaking should be about earning money. Art, or whatever. Obviously, this was the first Dwayne Johnson movie I ever did. Now I've done Jumanji and Moana, and The Rock is really becoming a household name. I made the statement that he was no Daniel Day-Lewis because that comparison seemed relevant at the time. But when you consider where he started, he really has no business being as entertaining and believable as he is. He's really hitting a stride as an action hero star. I love Carla Gugino, Alexandra Daddario is totally passable, but the one guy who actually sticks out like a sore thumb is Paul Giamatti. He's almost too good, but it doesn't detract from anything. Giamatti's just head and shoulders above the rest. There's not much of a big, deeper hidden message in this film. It's a sweet story of a family going to insane lengths to help each other. Also, be prepared. I guess that's a message. Be prepared and teach your kids how to be prepared because you never know. They just might be able to save a couple British kids' lives. And being a movie about real disasters that do happen, one actually happened in Nepal right before this film's release, it takes the subject matter as seriously as it can. But, like I said, this film is more about this family than an earthquake anyway. You know what you're getting when you sit down to this movie, and it also knows what it is. And we all liked it enough that it's getting a sequel. But first, The Rock needs to climb a skyscraper. Next week, a movie about a guy who hates when things don't add up. Hardy har.
Ready?
Twist down, ready?
Yep.